2003, I was diagnosed with depression, and I was put on depression and anxiety, and I was put on Zoloft. But I had symptoms of depression all my life. My mum struggled big time with depression, and other members of my family as well. So then when I got diagnosed, once I was on the antidepressants, I was fine. And so I stayed on them right up until last year, when they just didn't seem to be working as good as they had originally. You know, started to have more bad days than good days. A friend of mine who, her son had problems, and he hadn't responded to antidepressants, and she was desperate to find something, and she'd gone on the internet and she'd found EMPower, and he hadn't responded to it, and that was a couple of years before I started having problems with my medication. And she said to me, why don't you try this? You're not going to lose anything, just try it. And she said that she'd give me a bottle to start. And so, we got in touch with Truehope. In 2 weeks, I was off my meds, and it was the first sort of month, 6 to 6 weeks. It was difficult because I was going through withdrawals, had a lot of dizziness, and I'd have shaking episodes. But the hardest thing for me was not the withdrawals I was having, but it was more people around me and their opinions and their thoughts on what I was doing. And now I wish I'd kept my mouth shut about it and just gone ahead and not told anyone. But at the time, people were concerned because no one had heard of anything like this at all. And all they knew was that I was going off my medication and I was taking vitamins, and they didn't think that that was a particularly good idea. And so everyone kept asking me, are you seeing a doctor? Why are you doing this? Do you think this is wise? Do you think this is a stupid decision that you're making? And I found that really difficult because I was going through a difficult time trying to sort myself out, and that was hard enough without having that support. But the people who were close to me in the situation, they gave me a lot of support, and that's what got me over that initial period. Not long after that, I went overseas for 2 months, and I was a bit concerned because I've always had big problems with anxiety. Going to the supermarket or going to the shops was difficult. I'd last about half an hour before I'd get myself so worked up with anxiety. I'd been to counsellors about it and had different techniques. I'd learnt different techniques on how to deal with it, and which some of them worked, but it never really, solved it really well. And then, so I went to go overseas, and was concerned that I'd have issues because I was travelling by myself. But I left, and I was on and off planes for 2 months, staying in different areas, different climates, and I didn't have one moment of anxiety. I felt brilliant. People who I was staying with noticed a difference in me. And after it all, when I got home and I was still doing really well, and usually from travelling previously, I'd get sick, as most people do after they've been on planes and everything. Had absolutely no sickness, no flu symptoms, no nothing. And for me, that was just a sign of the general health benefits of what I was taking, completely aside to the fact that it was helping me with my depression and anxiety, I was just healthy. Probably about 2 months ago, out of pure laziness, I would miss taking one lot in the day, and then it got to maybe I'd miss a couple of lots in the day, and eventually I just wasn't taking anything, but I was doing well. I still felt good. I still felt good in regards to my depression and anxiety, but what I did notice is that my general health started to decline. I started to get sore throats occasionally, a cold I had, just things like that, and it was a noticeable difference because for the length of time that I'd been taking the Empower, I'd had absolutely no health problems at all. Looking back on now, there was a very gradual decline. Very gradual, but it was still a decline. And then, a couple of emotional things happened in my life, which, had I been healthy, probably wouldn't have been, it would have been something that I could deal with quite normally. But it was enough just to tip me over the edge, and all my symptoms came back and I crashed big time. And then I started taking the pills again, and within maybe 2 days, suddenly I felt a lot better. I started to feel human again and just feel like I could cope. Yeah, from being on medication, and my medication was working for a while, I still, even though my medication was working, still had sort of down days. And on Empower, I still have down moments, but I'm still far better off than I ever was when my medication was working. That just health-wise, I feel healthy. I didn't feel healthy necessarily on my antidepressants, but I feel healthy on the Empower, definitely. It has made a huge difference in my life.